Hi everyone, it's Maria here from Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to show you a video of me testing out the DTF Hack, which I've seen doing the rounds all over the internet, and I wanted to test it out for myself, and this is the end result. So what I'll show you next will be the process. But this is the end result, and I have to say I'm quite impressed with this hack. So what I used for this hack is just some cotton fabric. I used Siser Easy Weed HTV, and I used white, so just regular white HTV. You can use any brand you like. I used Siser. I used the Redback Premium Ink DTF Hot Melt Powder for direct to film process, and I bought this from a seller here in Australia, and it just worked out cheaper than Amazon for me for some reason. And I also used the same brand pet film, direct to film, DTF pet film. This particular film, I don't need to use any hack at all whatsoever for it to go through my printer. It worked very well. I use an EcoTank ET1810. This is the most basic of the Epson printers that are available in Australia. The reason why I got the basic one is because first off I wanted to try the process of sublimation and things like that without spending the earth, and I found that this printer actually works very well for me. So I converted basically a brand new Epson printer and put sublimation ink in it first go without using it beforehand. So it was brand new, and I converted it to a sublimation printer. So I'm using a sublimation converted EcoTank printer Epson with this film and this powder. And the settings that I've used for this printer is the standard plain paper setting, or standard vivid. You can use that, and that's the settings that I've used on my printer, and I'm extremely happy. So what I will show you next is the process. I use Silhouette Studio to do my designing and cutting, so I will show you that next, and then I will go through the whole process. So I'll see you then. Hi everyone. So what I'm going to be using today is this sweet cat food clip art that I found on Creative Fabrica. I've already put it up on the screen, so I've got 4 of these images that I want to use for this experiment that I'm going to be doing. So what I'm going to do with one of these is I'm going to put select trace area. I'm going to put like a square around it, and then I'm going to increase the threshold right up until it's all, just make sure I extend that out to make sure I get all of the bits and pieces. So that's all as lit up as it can be. Then I'm just going to put trace outer edge, and what I'm going to do is get that trace image right there, and I'm going to mirror it. So I'm just going to flip horizontally, and I'm going to fill that color just for the fun of it here, say in red, so we can see what it is. I'm going to duplicate that twice because I'm one of these cottons, the dark cotton. I'm going to do this twice so I can have one control and one that's going to be washed 5 times. So with these images here, I'm just going to collect them all there, and then I'm going to flip horizontally. So they're going to print back to front with my sublimation printer. And I'm just going to move them so they all fit within the, I'm going to show the print border so I can make sure I've got everything in there. Just have a quick look and see. No, that's not in there completely, so I'm just going to move that across. Hang on a second. Just going to move that slightly this way, and I just want to make sure that I've got it all in there. So it's within that border there and there. So that will print. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print these with my printer. Now, the settings for this, I will just show you on here. I go to print and I'm going to use my preferences and I'm going to pick the printer I'm going to use for. So for me, it's the Epson 1810 series. I'll go to preferences. Now for the print quality, it's going to be plain paper, but I'm going to use standard vivid. That is the only setting I have found with my printer where it does not have as many like roller marks. So that's the setting I use for my Epson printer, for my one. And then for the vinyl, I'll just cancel that. I'll do this all off screen. And for the vinyl, I'm going to cut this out with my vinyl mirrored, which is why I turned them back to front. And then I will show you when I apply the DTF powder. And I'll also show you once this has all been cut out and everything off screen. Okay, so I'll see you back again shortly. Okay, so what I'll be using for my DTF film is basically this Redback Premium DTF PET film. I found this seller in Australia. This is what I'll be using. You print on this side up, and this actually takes very well in my printer. It is excellent, so I'm going to be using that. I'm also going to be using the Redback Premium Ink DTF Hot Melt Powder, and this is a premium fine white powder. For both of these, for this, you need 150 degrees Celsius for 8 to 10 seconds to use that. And what else I'll be using is a lint roller. I've got 2 pieces of fabric here. Now these pieces of fabric are cotton, 100%, so I want to show you that says 100% cotton and 100% cotton. Basically, I got these just as a sample to see, as an experiment to see how it goes. So I'm just going to take off the sticker labels that they've got on here. And before you do any of this stuff, this is just a sample fabric, but it is cotton. So that's what I want to experiment on. So I'm going to lint roll these before I put them onto my heat press. And then this is another cotton piece here. It's got a bit of a like a snowflake pattern. It's really cute. But you know, these are just basically for me to experiment on to see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is when I come back, I'm going to show you the printout of this, and we're going to apply the hot melt powder over the top of your image very quickly. You'll need some baking paper, and I'm going to be using some gloves when I'm handling the white powder because it's an adhesive powder, and I'm also going to be wearing a P2 mask to ensure that I don't breathe in any of the powder, because that would cause you a lot of troubles in your lungs, trust me. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll go to the printer now. I'm going to print this out, and hopefully I will get minimum roller marks. We'll come back, we'll put the adhesive on, and then I'll take you over to my heat press and I will show you the whole process of everything. So I'll see you shortly. Okay, so I've got some baking paper down here on the bottom, and over here I have my ink already on my PET film. So sorry if I sound a bit muffled, it's because I'm wearing a mask. I'm just going to put on my gloves very quickly, and then I'm going to apply some powder onto my image here. So I'm going to apply quite a bit of powder. I'm just opening it up. You really should get like a container or something similar, but here I go. I'm applying a lot. I've got roller marks on there, but I just want to see if it lasts on the fabric. Okay, that's quite a bit of powder there. Just close it up so I don't spill it everywhere. Okay. And I'll just pick it up. And it's kind of like, you know how you have your embossing powder with card making? It's kind of a similar thing here, where you make sure you put it all over your image. And it attaches on. So it's very much like that. So I think that's pretty coated. Tap it off. See that? So it's got like a crystal looking effect, like it's got salt on it. That's what it's on there, right? So I'm going to tip all of this back in the bag, and then I'll meet you over at the heat press. See you shortly. So I am using my heat press in the kitchen, so just be warned, this is the best place for me to have my heat press. So this is the HTVRont auto heat press. I love this thing. Now the mat does not come standard with this printer. This is a heat mat that I got from Amazon just to give it more stability. I wasn't really happy with the cushion it comes with. So what we're going to do with this now is we're going to put it under the heat press without it being lowered down to cure the adhesive. So it should come out after about a minute or so, nice, smooth and melted in. So I'll just put it in there now, and I'll just count 10 seconds, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 10 seconds or so. So just give it a minute and then we'll bring it out shortly. So I've just finished curing this in my heat press. So it still looks a little bit sugary, but I think it should be okay. Now there are bits here that have come through. So what I'm going to do is just scrape them off with my, actually I'm going to get my Cricut. Just give me a second. Just get my Cricut scraper tool, because this is quite sharp, so it'll get rid of all of these little bits that we don't need. So that's coming off quite nicely. So just get rid of the ink parts we don't need. So if you can see here, there are some lines. So I'm going to scrape them off with my scraper tool. And because it's sharp, it comes off quite easily. You can also use a credit card if you don't have a scraper tool. And any bits that are close to the image, and scrape them off. Sort of like an stray embossing powder, you know. And just do that over here. Very carefully. You can also use your weeding tool. Now I had to turn up the temperature with my heat press. Take off the mask because it's hard to breathe in these things. I had to increase the temperature to 210 degrees Celsius for it to start melting, because 150 was just too low. And what I'm doing now is just letting the heat press cool down. So whilst we're doing that, I'm just going to scrape off all of the bits that I don't need. And I don't want it to come onto my image. Okay, so I'm letting that cool down to 150. So at the moment, no, it's actually 160 degrees I'll put it down to. So what I'm going to do now, because these are cured, is I'm going to cut them apart. I'll just cut these apart. Okay, and also down the middle. Then I'm going to put them onto the fabric. You can touch it, but I'd rather not do it too much. So these are now cut apart. Okay, so this is just as an experiment. Then Now I've got the cut vinyl that I used with my silhouette. So what I'm going to do is just weed off the excess vinyl and just be very careful around the whiskers, because that area is very, very delicate and you don't want that to come off easily. So I'm just putting my weeding tool there and helping it to keep it down. So as you can see there, it's quite delicate. So that's that side done. And I just put like a weeding box around the image to make it easy for me to just weed that off, and just be careful around the cherry that's on top. Isn't it cute? Just love this image. Okay. And I love this Siser Easy Weed, the white vinyl. That's what I used today. Siser Easy Weed white vinyl. Just be careful around the delicate parts, but that did a fantastic job. And now I'm just going to take off the other part there that I didn't really need. Okay, so that's now been weeded off. Okay, so I'm going to now bring my fabric over and I'm just going to lint roll it. Just give me a second. Okay, so I've got my lint roller and here is my fabric. I'm just going to lint roll all of the stuff off. And then what I'm going to do is, with some heat tape, I've got some special heat tape here, we're going to attach, oh not yet, I have to press that, and now my heat press is going off letting me know that it is ready to be used. So here is the dark fabric that I want to press the HTV on, and this is just plain white Siser vinyl. So I'll take you over to the heat press and then I will show you it being heat pressed for about 10 seconds just to get the moisture out. I will heat press both fabrics, then I'll come back, we'll attach it onto here, and then we'll take it back to the heat press. So just give me a second. Back onto the heat press. So I'm just going to now put my fabric on there, and it is a little big, but that's okay. And I'm going to heat press that now for about 10 seconds. It's very firm. Look at this, you can pull it, it doesn't come off. Comes up automatically, which is so cool. So that's nice and heat pressed, nice and hot. And now I'm going to press the white one for 10 seconds. And I will probably lint roll again, just to be sure, okay? Pop that in. Press. Okay, I'll take you back to the desk, we'll apply everything on and then we'll come back to the press. I have heat pressed this. So I'm going to put one of my cat images on here, and you just put it straight onto the fabric. I'm going to put some heat tape because I'm going to take it over to my heat press to ensure that it stays in place. And my battery keeps running out, so just as a warning. And it's very annoying. So I'll do the other side here. And we'll see how this holds up. Okay, I'm going to take it over to the heat press. I am going to apply some parchment paper over the top. Okay, I'm going to take it to the heat press and press it for 10 seconds, and then I will come back. Okay, so I applied also some heat, some parchment paper underneath onto my thing, as well onto my platen. So I'm just going to do... Now this set at 150 degrees Celsius, so that's exactly what I used. I'm just going to keep it on here just for a little bit longer whilst I just take off the heat tape. And this is on 100% cotton. I'm just trying to scrape that off. Alright, now you can do this as a hot or warm peel. And now what I'm going to do is it's just now cool to the touch. I'm just going to take it off. Oh wow, that turned out really cute. Take that off slowly. Now that came off. Yeah, I'm going to put this back on again. I'm going to heat press this again to make sure that it really sticks down. I don't think that 150 degrees is hot enough, to be honest. I think it needs a bit more. But I'm going to go back to my heat press. I'm going to press this down a little more and this one at the same time for another 10 seconds. So I'll be back again. So I've pressed it again. And I'll just peel that off. That feels really good. Now let's see how this turned out with an extra press. So this is a good indicator. Now as you can see here, that came off a little there. But it feels really nice, I have to say, on the cotton. Let's try this now. I'll peel it this way. No. You can do a warm peel with this apparently. Yeah, the curing process, I think it needs a lot more, a higher temperature. So, yeah, I'm not overly impressed with this, I've got to admit. See, it didn't cure enough. I think it needs another 10 seconds underneath, so let's do that again. I'm just going to let it cool off for a little bit, but this PET film says it's for 8 to 10 seconds, both hot or cold peeling, and at between 130 and 150 for 8 to 10 seconds. I have been doing this every 10 seconds. This one I think needed to cure a little bit more, so it was still quite, it still had quite a bit of those like crystal looking effect. So you really do need to making sure. Now that's a lot better already. And I think this is the best I can get on this one. So I'll just press that down again to ensure that it really sticks on. But overall, I think it just needed more curing time and at a much higher temperature than the 150 degrees. So I'm going to go back and cure that again for 10 more seconds. Okay, so I've cured it for another 10 seconds. I heat pressed it, and now it really does feel nice. Now I think that in the curing process I didn't leave it long enough, so when it's crystallized a lot, I think you need to up the temperature and keep it down a little longer. So that's the cotton one done, the white cotton. It actually stays. It's actually quite good. It doesn't rub off, and it's actually quite nice. So put this to the side for a moment. Now I'm going to bring back the dark fabric. For this one, I'm actually going to cut this apart. because after I do this, I'm going to let these all go for 5 washes. So what I'm going to do is pop these on here. This is just heat transfer vinyl from Siser. Just white, just plain white. Okay, I'm going to go over to my heat press. I'm going to press this down for I think just 5 seconds or so at 150 degrees. Then I'll come back and then we're going to line up these to go over the top precisely. Alright, so I'll be back shortly. Right, so I tacked these down for 5 seconds. So I'm just going to do a slow peel to make sure it comes off. And with the Siser Easy Weed, it's also a hot peel. So you can do a hot peel. This is just a warm peel, okay? So, not bad for 5 seconds. Okay. What I'm going to do next is line up the image as precisely as possible. I'm going to stick that down with heat tape for sure, just to ensure. So I'll just line that up again. I don't want that to move at all during the heat process. So you don't have to apply this much tape, but I am, just to be sure that it doesn't move. Okay. I think I got it down right. I might not, I might be wrong. I'll just do it again to be sure. And so basically what you're doing is you're sublimating with the HTV, the DTF over the top of it. So you can do this over on, you know, dark fabrics. Now, I saw this is not a unique idea. I first saw this idea on Sublimation Life, and this is where I will link the video below where I saw it, because it blew my mind. But what I want to do is a wash test as well, to see how it holds up. So I'm just trying to line this up as precisely as possible. I want to make sure that does not move. Okay, so I'm just putting the heat tape on there. Can't just use regular masking tape, it has to be heat tape. And the printed image has to be with sublimation ink, with a sublimation printer or converted printer. I have an Epson ET1810 that I converted to sublimation. So when you buy these printers, you buy them brand new or completely flushed of the regular ink, and then you put sublimation ink in. Alright, so I am now going to go back to my heat press, and I will press this at 150 degrees Celsius for 10 seconds to ensure that it sublimates onto the HTV, and I'll let it cool down. So I'll be back shortly. So I've just brought it over from my heat press. Now, just to let you know, the heat press is only at 150 degrees, so it's not overly hot, but I'm just now going to let this cool down before I peel it back. So it's cool to the touch now, so I'm just going to now slowly peel that back. And oh wow, it needed more curing time. So just to let you know, you needed more curing time, but just look at that. It's not a perfect image. It is quite splotchy because, as I said, it needs more curing time. But the ones that cured well, it's really going over the top of that, which is great. This is actually quite a good effect. All right, let's just peel this one back now. Now, I only did 150 degrees Celsius because that's what the instructions were. So that's what I've done. So, wow. I'm going to go back to my heat press and just make sure it's just press it down from the underside for about 10 seconds again, and then I'll be back. So, a couple of things. Make sure, from what I've learned here now, right now, is make sure that you cure this to the point where it's super smooth. I lost patience and it was still a bit grainy. And as a result of that, that's the effect you get, okay? So make sure that when you are curing these images on the DTF film, that you do so until it is smooth. So this is just as an experiment, just to let you know. Now, it actually did sublimate onto the HTV, and that's just regular HTV. So that looks fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these down with some fabric scissors. And one of these is going to go in the wash for 5 cycles. So these are my fabric scissors. I've had these for years. Okay, and I'm going to cut this down the middle. Now I'm going to cut a corner off. The corner is the control group. This is the one that's going to go in the wash, and we're going to do 5 tests to see how long it lasts. Now, I have pressed that in with the using the Siser's instructions, which is 10 seconds at 150 degrees Celsius. The first time I tacked it down, I did it for 5 seconds. Then I put the DTF, as per the instructions from the DTF film, for 10 seconds as well, and it did sublimate basically onto the HTV. So that's the HTV there. Okay, so that turned out well. So this is the control, and this is the one that's going to go in the wash. I'm going to do the same with the cotton one, just to see how it holds up in the wash. And again, because if you see the one where it was super smooth, it actually sublimated onto here very well with the DTF. When you feel it, it kind of feels like you've got vinyl, but not really. Like, it feels really nice. So we're going to see how that holds up in the wash. So this is, as I said, it's just scrap fabric that I got. So I'm going to cut this down. So it'll be good to see, even with it not cured well 100%, how it holds up. It's a good experiment. All right, I'm going to cut this in half. Okay. I'll make this one the control because that's the one that's worse for wear. So that will not go in the wash. So just take note of what it looks like. That's the before. That's control, and this is the one that is after. Okay, this is the one we're going to have in the wash, and I'll do another look here. This is before, control. Okay, have a look at that. And this is the after that we're going to do in the wash. That's the before. And we'll do 5 washes and we'll see how it holds up. So the next time you will see me, I will show you the result of after 5 washes. So that will be next week from the time I've filmed this today. So I'll see you then. Okay, it has been 5 washes. So I filmed this last week and it's been 5 washes since, and I want to show you a before and after. So with regards, and I'll give you my thoughts just generally, and I'll try and do this as quickly as possible. Okay, so this is a DTF Hack. It is not the same as having a DTF printer with the whole shebang. This is a hack, so don't come at me because it's not the real deal. So with the hack, I used a white cotton fabric, and this is the result. This is one that I have not washed. So as I said before, this is the control group. I did just a cut there, so I did not put this through the washing machine. Now, the finish on this is not the greatest because I did a rookie mistake in that I did not let the DTF powder melt till it was smooth. It was still a bit rough and patchy because I was impatient, okay? But when you do this hack, make sure that the DTF powder has completely cured, and I mean it is smooth as anything, before you do the heat pressing, okay? So that's the secret. But however, I'm still impressed that it's got a very nice touch. It feels like you've got something on there, but it doesn't feel as thick as, say, a vinyl. You can tell that it's something is smoothed on there, but it doesn't come off on the sides. It's like it's infused into the fabric, and you can actually see the fibers of the fabric. Now, I'm not sure if this will turn up, but I'll let the camera focus, and you can actually see the fibers in the fabric. So I treated one as the control, and then I put this as the result of the 5 washes. Now, the colors are clearly different, and I will tell you why, and the fabric itself has also been dyed a little. I put my washed fabric in the wash 5 times, and I used Omo powder and I used 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that was my washing, and I did that with everyone's load. So each person in my household has a load of washing done during the week. So I wash 5-6 times sometimes, depending on the loads. So anyway, I put it through the 5 cycles. And on one of the cycles, my son had a ticket in his pocket, which I failed to retrieve, and basically dyed everything blue in his load. So all the white became, now it looks like a grey blue, and the DTF also has dulled and gotten a more blue finish because of that. So that's the before, and this is the after. So you can even tell that the fabric has been dyed. So that's not the result you would get if you were more careful with your washing, is what I'm trying to say. However, I would like to say that the feeling in both of these is exactly the same. There has been no extra loss of DTF at all. It's actually, if you can see this is the washed one, you can see the fibers of the fabric through the DTF. So this is really this will last you for a very, very long time. I think it'll last you for the life of the garment, in my opinion. I may be wrong, but this has not come off. Now the finish is splotchy because, as I said, I did not cure it enough to be ultra smooth, which is the way it's supposed to be. And when you heat it in your heat, like under the heat press, it takes several minutes. It can take up to 10 minutes. I did it for 5-6 minutes. I completely lost patience, but you have to be patient, and that's the key here. Now, I also wanted to try the DTF Hack on HTV, regular HTV, because that really blew me away, that concept, because you don't need to buy expensive Easy Subli if you do it like this. So this is just the regular, this is the Siser Easy Weed, the white one. I used this and I heat pressed it with my HTVRont heat press as per instructions from Siser. I did a small tack on, and then I used the DTF over the top, and I basically sublimated the HTV. The HTV has come on here, no problems, and it's smooth to touch. There's no raised edges. It's done very well. And the DTF, sorry, when you run your fingers across the HTV part, feels like it was already printed on the HTV. This will not come off. I'm really impressed. You cannot tell from touch that there is any difference other than there's HTV on your fabric. But you can see again here too, you can see the fibers of the fabric. It did a spectacular job. This is now the 5 wash. I did not iron it. I just thought I'd just take it out of the wash. It is a little wrinkled. I suppose you can iron like with say a Teflon sheet or something like that. Just give it a quick once over very quickly. Do not keep it in the one spot, and just move it around and iron this out. Now again, because of the loads, these went into all of our loads of washing, so they're very clean. But this is the result, and it has not come off the HTV at all. The DTF is actually ingrained as if it was part of the HTV the whole time. It has not come off at all. The results are splotchy because they were splotchy to begin with, but there has not been any further degradation. It feels phenomenal. It feels like it's part of the deal. None of it's come off. And look, I can use my nail on this and it doesn't come off. It stayed on, and you can see again the fibers of the fabric through the HTV and the DTF. And it is a very smooth finish, really well done, and it's not lifting even with this small piece here with the cherry. It's not lifting at all. So overall, I have to say I am extremely impressed with the DTF Hack on regular HTV. This is mind-blowing. You know, this is great stuff. Like, you do not have to buy Easy Subli, which is expensive. Just buy your regular white HTV. You can use Siser, you can use Cricut, you can use Oracle 645, whatever it's called. You can use all of those vinyls with this hack without an issue. I had no problems with it at all, and I highly recommend it as a hack. I think it's great. If you want to sell this, I suppose, I don't know, that's up to you. But for me, I'm just a small-time operator at the moment, and I have to say this is a game changer. That's the words I was looking for before, and I failed to use it. This hack is a game changer, so I really want to thank, I don't know what the lady's name is, her name is from the Sublimation Life. Her hack of putting DTF on HTV is a real game changer in my opinion, and you can use this on any colour cotton if you want. You can also use the DTF hack on any light coloured cottons without an issue. It does not come off. It will last you for washes. These are all rookie mistakes. I just want you to see mistakes. So when your clothes get dyed by accident, it does affect the DTF. So that's the result of that. So I'll just put these over here so you can have a look. The bottom ones are washed. This is just fabric, cotton, 100% cotton, and those are the results. Overall, guys, I am incredibly impressed by this hack. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and the 5 wash update as well as a bonus. Thank you so much for watching, not washing, and I will see you again next time. Bye.